Month, our Happy Medium Jodi Livon sits down with audience members live on the show, and she gives rapid psychic readings. And she says that more often than not, those audience members reach out after the show with sort of an aha moment.
It happens a lot. So we wanted to put this theory to the test. So we invited Jess. Now Jess is a mom from Shoreview to sit down with Jodi. And of course we want to know what happened. So we welcome Jodi and Jess to Twin Cities Live. Hi, gals. Okay, so we do want to tell you right from the get-go. So they already had their reading. They met. Now Jess is the daughter of a TCL staffer, but Jodi, you had never met Jess before you guys sat down together for this reading, right?
I never met her.
Okay, so it started with Jess, who came to Jodi with some concerns about how she and her husband parent their kids together. Jodi, so let's see what you picked up on, and then we'll talk about it.
I feel like when you talk to your kids, you throw yourself in their shoes often, like, how would they feel? How would they feel, right?
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing to be able to do, and you do it really well. I want to suggest to you that you keep it separate, that you think to yourself, right now I'm not going to put myself in their shoes because I need to be the mom, and I know this is going to be really harsh on them, but they need this.
I've been dealing with not being so angry at times or being impatient with my kids, and so I get impatient with them and then I feel terrible because
But that's normal.
I think about how it makes them feel, you know.
But that's normal for you to feel impatient once in a while, and you don't really know how your kids feel. You can feel their feelings, but then your mind is telling you what that means. So you might be able to feel how they're feeling, but the story behind it you don't really know. You might think, oh, I'd be really hurt if that happened, and your kid might be thinking, oh, that was funny.
All right, Jess, what did you think when Jodi mentioned that you have this habit of sort of putting yourself in your children's shoes?
I thought of my husband and how he tells me I do that too much probably, and how I should stop doing that.
So Jodi, you were thinking that Jess really second guesses herself in a lot of ways. So is what's happening here is she kind of creating a narrative about her kid's reaction to what's happening in her mind that may not really even be accurate. And a lot of us do that in lots of interactions.
She's a playwright. We're playwrights. We see something, we interpret it, and then we take it from there. And usually we're kind of off and we don't even know it. It's the story we tell ourselves about what happened.
So Jess, do you think that you're making things worse sometimes when you're doing it?
Yeah, my husband kind of tells me to back off a little bit and kind of separate myself from the situation and not feel so bad because I don't need to when I do.
I was going to say, how did it feel to have someone besides your husband validate how you feel in those moments of impatience and anger?
Well, it was good because it opened my eyes even more because, you know, my husband is so close to the situation, so it's nice to have somebody, you know, an outside perspective.
And when you told him that Jodi said that you do this, what did he say?
I told you so.
Okay, Jodi, also during the reading, you picked up on a woman that had passed away. Now, Jess confirmed that she believed it was her grandmother, your mom's mom. So let's see what else was said.
She's actually quite lovely, isn't she? She would never say she's quite lovely, but she's quite lovely. And she was all about the business. Like, she was about family, 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 family. And I feel like, you know that my grandma used to say I could eat you up? That's the energy around your grandma. Like, she was so into the kids.
She was so lovey.
Yep, very into the kids. And what she's saying is she had self-doubt. And I feel like she had nightmares. And what she's trying to tell you is, it's like you're poisoning yourself with your own words.
That's what my therapist.
Well, your grandma's pretty good.
Okay, so Jess, you hear this, and Jodi is telling you these words. Did it sound like those were the exact things that your grandma would have said?
Yeah, because she always used to say those things to my mom. I always asked my mom, you know, what would she do, you know, in these situations, and she would tell me what my grandma would tell her, and it's exactly the road that my grandma always took. So.
Jodi, you know that you have a lot of people out there that are very curious about what you do when you're seeing someone that's passed sending you messages. Explain to someone at home what's happening for you.
Well, there's a variety of ways. In that case, I felt like she was right in the room with me, and literally like a little see-through version of her, and I could feel her feelings. I could feel what she felt like as a person. So it was like I was her. I could feel her as her, giving advice. I could feel this love pouring out of me for you. And it's very beautiful. It's like you get the taste of who they are. That's why you know who they are, because you can't, if somebody says that's not my grandma, you're like, yeah, really, because it is.
Wow. When she said poisoning herself with her own words, I mean, then what impact did that have on you after?
Well, I kind of just that's kind of what's going on in my life right now. Just, you know, that's always been kind of like a mantra in our family. And, you know, it's something that I have talked to with a therapist about. And, you know, he said, you don't feel so, you know, resentful, or, you know, it's like swallowing poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Yeah.
So
Isn't
that's
that the
exactly
truth?
what he said.
Okay, what happened next is what Jodi says happens pretty often with reading. So she'll say something, and then the person getting the reading can't really pinpoint what she's talking about in that moment, but then they go home, and bam, it changes. So look at this.
Who had the ear infections a lot? Was that in your family? Your siblings?
I don't know.
She's talking about something about the ear, an infection in the ear, or some pain in the ear, or even the eardrum.
All right, Jess, what happened after the reading?
Well, that night, my husband sent me a text message with a picture of my son with fluid coming out of his ear. His eardrum had burst, and he had an ear infection that we never even knew about.
So what was happening there, Jodi, then? Why were you getting that kind of message?
Well, her grandma was trying to give us a heads up, I guess. Yeah, through the ear, yeah. Because I was feeling the pain in my ear, and she wouldn't let go of me. It's like, you have to tell her. No, she doesn't get it. It's okay. Tell her anyway.
That there's going to be an ear infection.
That happens a lot with our intuition. We get a little bit of a heads up. Doesn't mean we can change it, but then we're sort of emotionally ready for it. And the other thing I want to say is what you're doing, lots of us do. We beat ourselves up left and right. It's normal, but it's bad boundaries on our part, so we can be healthier by stopping.
That's right.
Jess, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank you.
so much. Jodi, thank you so much. That was really interesting to see. You can sign up for Jodi's Happy Medium event in October, and you could get an on-the-spot psychic reading. We've posted those event details at twincitieslive.com. There you'll also find a link to schedule a personal reading.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Hey, there's one word that you need to win free tickets for Bonnie Raitt's concert at the state.